My wife cheated with an old schoolmate, so I destroyed his family and he tried to fight me. I'm a BJJ brown belt. My wife of 6 years, Anna, and I had what I thought was a pretty solid marriage. We had the usual ups and downs, but nothing out of what I would have considered ordinary. It all started when Anna said she was going to go tan, then run to Walmart, and maybe Target as well. She said she'd be back in a few hours, but it was more like 5 when she finally got home. I asked her what took so long and why she wasn't responding to my messages quickly. She didn't have any good answers. She also only had one small bag from Walmart. Really? She had been gone for 5 hours, went tanning, which probably took 30 minutes tops, and only returned with one bag? Something was definitely up. So I grabbed her phone. She freaked out on me, acting as if I had crossed some sacred line, like Jesus himself was going to come back and leave me behind at any moment. That totally screamed guilt. As she tried to get me to give her phone back, I kept walking and reading, and boom, there it was. A message from someone named Brad on Messenger saying he had a great time and couldn't wait to see her again. I scrolled back through the history, and sure enough, they had planned to meet at a hotel that day. What in the actual hell? At first, she didn't want to tell me who Brad was, but after 10 minutes of me threatening to just call him and ask myself, she fessed up through tears. She told me that Brad was an old schoolmate of hers, and he was in town for work for a week. He's part of a company contracted by Marin, Illinois to trim trees around power lines. Well, I'm so glad it worked out. Yuck. I asked if he was married. She said he was, but that he told her they might be splitting up. I wondered if his wife knew this, so I said, "Fine, I'm going to call Brad's wife." And get this, she actually had the audacity to plead with me not to call her. She said she felt guilty about potentially ruining his family. I told her that he had already ruined his family, and she had ruined ours, so no, I was absolutely contacting her. And I did. Right then and there. I mean, I was livid, and there was no way in hell I wasn't going to expose the truth. So I found Brad's wife on Facebook and sent her the incriminating picture of their message thread and gave her my number. Let's just say she was less than thrilled to learn about her husband's extracurricular activities, and she called me immediately. I felt bad, but I knew she needed the truth. She was crying and sounded like she was shaking. She finally calmed down, and we began to talk further. She told me that she had a weird feeling that something was wrong, but couldn't quite put her finger on it. She said she was going to call her parents, pack up the kids, and move in with them until she found her own place. She also said she was going to call him after she finished calling her parents. After the call, I dumped that happy news on my home-wrecking wife. I told her she should be proud of going 2 for 2 on her first day out. I mean, what in the hell did she think was going to happen? Was I supposed to be so sad that I cried like a puppy and begged her to stop cheating on me? That's literally the fastest way of losing your manhood. No freaking way. Now she was going to pay, and so was Brad. But here's where things get really interesting. After Brad's wife called him and told him that she knew everything, he actually had the nerve to call me. He accused me of ruining his life and challenged me to a fight. First, I clarified to him that he ruined his own life and also ruined my wife's life, and that I hoped he enjoyed his divorce. Secondly, really? He was so confident that he'd beat me to a pulp, and he didn't even know who I was or what I was capable of. He must have thought I was some kind of limp pansy since my wife was cheating on me. You can be the most masculine, handsome, and capable dude in the world and still get cheated on. So in the end, he was in for a surprise. You see, over the years I've been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and have earned a brown belt. I'm also a pretty decent striker. My buddies and I attend classes during the week and practice in my garage a few nights a week as well. So when Brad issued his challenge, I didn't hesitate to accept. I told him that if he really wanted to beat me up, he should come on down. I may not win, but I'd do my best. LOL, what a freaking idiot. A couple of days later, Brad showed up at my house, ready to throw down. I stepped outside and gave him one last chance to walk away. He was enraged, seeing nothing but red, while all I saw was an unbalanced fool about to get hurt. He could have swallowed his pride and spared himself a world of pain, but no, he was dead set on fighting me. So be it. The fight was brutal, but it wasn't even close. I dodged the inevitable big right hand and took him down immediately. I mounted him and smothered him with my chest for a minute until he wore himself out. Then I sat up. I would never hit my wife, but poor Brad took a beating for both of them. After a few minutes of pounding on his face, I stood up. He'd had enough. Brad was lying on my front lawn, battered and bruised, while I didn't have a scratch on me. As he struggled to get up, I pulled out my phone and began live streaming on Facebook. I narrated the entire story, making sure everyone would know what had happened. Hey everyone, meet Brad. Brad thought it would be cool to meet my wife at the Drury Inn a few days ago, so I called his wife, and now he's getting a divorce. He got upset and came here to beat me up. Well, how did that work out for you, Brad? He couldn't answer if he wanted to. All he could do was drag himself back to his car like an idiot. My wife was upset and crying on the front porch. I turned the phone towards her, and she immediately ran back inside. I said, "Why are you leaving him now? It's obvious your dear Brad needs you." And then I left. I ended the video by telling everyone that I had filed for divorce and that they would all find out anyway, so it was better to just get it all out now and be done with it. The thumbs, hearts, and angry faces were nearly covering my screen. They were coming in so fast, LOL. By the next morning, the video had gone viral in our region. Brad not only had to deal with the impending loss of his family, but now he was the laughingstock of the entire southern half of the state. He had 2 black eyes and an injured ankle, leaving him with some very visible reminders of his stupidity and arrogance. As for Anna, she was absolutely mortified by the whole situation. I knew there was no going back, so I sent her packing that night. In hindsight, I can't believe I was so blind to her true nature. But I guess that's how it goes sometimes. I hope my story can serve as both an inspiration and a cautionary tale to others. You never know what people are capable of, and sometimes it takes a dramatic event to reveal their true colors. You also never know the full extent of what you're asking for when you mess with another man's wife. Now, I know some of you might be thinking that this was an extreme reaction to a cheating spouse, but let me tell you something. When you've put your heart and soul into a relationship only to have it shattered by betrayal, you'd be surprised at what you're capable of. So to anyone out there going through a similar situation, my advice to you is this. Don't be afraid to do what needs to be done. It's not always easy, and it might not be pretty, but in the end, you'll know that you fought for your self-respect and dignity. And who knows? Maybe you'll even discover a newfound passion for martial arts along the way. I can tell you firsthand, it's a fantastic way to channel your anger and frustration into something positive. So fellow Redditors, that's my story. I hope you found it as entertaining and engaging as I found it cathartic to share. Here's to moving on and making better choices in the future. Cheers. I thought Brad's wife worked at Cracker Barrel, but there was no mention of that anywhere. Anyway, what do you think? Give this epic tale a 1 to 10 rating and share your thoughts in the comments below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more. Cheating Secrets Podcast. Cheating.